Welcome to the foundation. It is yours truly, the incredible DJ Battle in the building. And you know how we do. We're going to jump straight into it. Disclaimer time. Yeah, it's the king up in here. Hey, I'm just going to cover just a few topics that took place in between the last show and the current one. At the end of the day, I don't want no drama, no BS, no legal issues, none of the above, because this is for entertainment purposes only. Had to get that out the way. Whew, boy, oh boy. Well, I tell you what, boy, I'm fresh off of Easter weekend. Pretty much unplugged. You know, had to take in some ocean breeze. Hey, that's what I love to do in that period of time. And as soon as I, get back on the grid and, check and see what's going on in the world, here we go. People and their religion and how they celebrate it. I tell you what, though, some things I just don't understand. Especially with the Catholic Church. I know they're going through their grieving process with losing their pope, but this whole ritual, man, that I've seen this clip of some African Catholic priest. They got this ritual where they go to this little Jesus figure, either kiss the feet or the stomach or around the kind of by the navel area. I'm just looking like, I'm not judging anyone, but just the whole optics of that just sends chills. When you identify your Lord and Savior, and it looks just like your oppressor. But you know how that saying goes, man. It's just a vicious cycle, man. According to the biblical words, they describe how the Jesus look, and I get it. It shouldn't matter what color he is, but it's just amazing how this is the version they run with. But I don't get caught up in religion like that. My take on that. Whatever it takes for you to keep things in balance, I'm all for it. So I just leave it at that. But it's amazing though, because with religion, man, it's a lot of barriers being broken down. You see folks like Neo, that's out there living his truth. He tried a monogamous thing, so he said, you know what, one ain't enough. I need not one, not two, I need three. So hey, my take on it. Whatever it takes for you to be satisfied, hey, I'm all for it to a certain degree, as long as you ain't screwing up no children. But yeah, the church seemed to be getting flexible, man, because you see this one couple behind us that's a pastor and first lady. First lady, she out here looking for side pieces for the husband. She iron his pants, iron his clothes, make sure he look good so he can get a side piece or whatever. It's like, man, everybody doing their thing, huh? Big shout out to the church heads. They no longer keeping it swept up under the rug. They bring it to the forefront now. Now pastor get his swerve on. He don't no longer have to creep with the women on the front row. Now he can openly tell the wife, like, look, what I'm saying, tonight I got to look good tonight. Go ahead and get my favorite pants, get my Kango. Let me see which whip I'm gonna drive tonight. Make sure the Bentley is full of gas. Make sure that they got a fine taste when it comes to vehicles and homes, and congregation definitely looks out for them, man. Definitely. But yeah, man, I just thought that was kind of interesting. Hey, I can't do some of the things past want me to do. My tonsils, my tonsils not like what they used to be. He needs somebody that can go all the way to those folks looking like, what the hell? But yeah, I found that kind of interesting. Flexibility in the church. This is not only. Don't even get me started, man. I just find that kind of interesting. I'm pretty sure you guys do too. It's no longer sugarcoat, no longer hiding, doing it on the DL or sneaking. It's out to the forefront. So hey, salute to them, man. But on to the next topic, man. Now this next situation, man, is kind of interesting. With the whole, Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf situation. It's taking some twists and turns, and a white supremacist named Jeff Lang tried to basically reach out to Austin's dad. Jeff wants to accelerate this race war thing, or because it's that seems to be the thing now. This the race war, and it's just a hot mess, man. Ain't nobody thinking about no race war. Just except a few ignorant people who stuck in trying to get it popping. I just found it interesting that Jeff wanted to come to the high school down there in Texas and basically have like a protest at the high school, like a anti-white hate type of protest, and got to give Austin's dad props for not falling for it, and not falling for the bait. Basically said he didn't want his son to be politicized or being used as a political weapon. Just basically, he didn't want it. He didn't feel like, he didn't want to play with that crap. Because he already stated out the gate that this wasn't about race. And to a certain extent, it wasn't. It was pretty much a right or wrong, and just an incident that was unfortunate because it spiraled to someone losing a life. It shouldn't even, got to that point. From what it sounds like, a self-defense. This is unfortunate because in most cases that he probably would have poked him in the pec or probably would have poked him in the shoulder. He just tried to get him off of him from what I seen, from what I heard. So, like I always said, I wasn't there, so we had to wait to hear what the results would be from the witnesses. But anyway, this whole let's get this race war started. They're trying. You can see week after week is something different of an event that's meant to spark off this race war. I'm not thinking about it. A lot of the folks I roll with ain't thinking about no damn race war. Not, what I'm saying? I rock with folks from many different backgrounds. So, because we all have one thing in common, and that's just we enjoy having fun and not judgmental. And I'll have to say, there's more people like that in the world than it is those who want to get this race war started. Like I say, the father said he wasn't having it. He didn't want any parts of it. In fact, he condemned it. And the nerve of, Jeff Lang and, white supremacists like him to basically say something to the effect that that's why your son got killed because of you. He was basically weak. I'm like, dude, what's wrong with y'all? I mean, this man is already going through enough losing a child, and y'all gonna pour salt in the wound and basically saying that he's weak because he don't agree with having this anti-hate group. No, it ain't about that. People have disagreements. People get into scuffles. Sometimes people get out of them scuffles and become the best friends in life. And of course you got situations when it may turn for the worst. They may be a grudge. But in most cases, most folks grow up and they may see each other 10, 15 years down the road and be like, man, I can't believe we was on that dumb shit. And it's just like I said, this sounds like to me, this was it was just something that just kind of spiraled out of control, and a life was lost. And both families are going through it. Neither side is in a good situation. They're both sides are getting harassed, totally unnecessary. The best outcome could be as if both sides could somehow manage to get along. Long shot, but stranger things that happen. And the way they get treated, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that did happen. But that's the best outcome we could hope for, and just learn from the situation. But man, to say somebody is weak because they wouldn't follow your ideology is just that's just insane, man. But anyway, keeping it moving, I just want to keep it on the same thing about this race war. Because you keep hearing about these trainings that's going on in Tennessee. There are some places outside of Nashville and in between Nashville and Memphis where they're having trainings with neo-Nazis and white supremacist groups. And I even heard of some that's taking place on the eastern part of the state, in between Knoxville and Chattanooga, and they're having these, and they have footage of it out there too. You can see it. You can look it up. There's a news that's covering it, and you can see them having like hand-to-hand combat. Of course, like two people like they ain't never fought in their life. They just both just swinging wild. But I guess that's their training. They got the whole compound out there. Of course, even some police presence was there. So it's like, okay, so you got law enforcement involved with this as well. So they're basically getting themselves ready for this race war. And then, like I say, week after week, you keep seeing one event after the next where something can spark off. Whether it was the twins that got killed in Georgia, it's we can go on and on about the different cases that are, including the Carmelo situation. That's just one of many. But people not feeling that, man. People not ready for no war. Definitely no civil war, civil race war. People not thinking about that. You got a few idiots out there, but there's always a few idiots out there. But I don't think it's enough to get it cracking. So we'll definitely have to keep our eye on all them situations, because anything's possible. They may take the offensive and just say, you know what, since these events are not doing it quick enough, let's just start going and opening up and just do it. So protect yourself. There's nothing wrong with going to the range. Take your kids out there, show them how to properly load firearms, disarm firearms. Nothing wrong with that, because we all want to survive. We all want to protect ourselves. And the way these fools are out here training really puts us in a position where, we don't have a choice. So yeah, that's just crazy, man. It's insane. Folks just need to just get along. But hey, if you don't have to live among someone. You can stay amongst yourself, and as long as there's a respect. But see, that's the problem. No one wants to respect. They want you to be subservient to them. So, and we ain't going for it. We're not gonna. We learned from the past mistakes our ancestors made. So they did the best they could with what they had, and it's our job to do the same. Do what's necessary to protect ourselves, and you can not live among someone and still keep it moving, still progress. It's insane, man. But the racism definitely continues. And because I've seen this story about some black farmers. I want to say this place was in Georgia. It looked like, because the gentleman had a Georgia hat on. I would try to get a description and see where this place was at. But it's basically a black farmer. It was like a black farmer and his daughter, and they owned a lot of land. You just kept seeing this white man, the same man you see behind me with the black gold tee, driving outside the perimeter of their property against the gate on a track, like he's riding like a 4-wheeler or something. Little tractor, little mini tractor, this kind of, and they had hidden cameras all over the place, watching him kind of like trying to destroy the property. It even got to the point they set the outside perimeter of the property on fire. I'm like, man, this is getting crazy out here. The black farmers already got it rough with not getting the funding they deserve or earn, or everyone else they don't get. So they're dealing with the finance issues, but this right here with the harassment and folks trying to basically take your land. If they didn't have that gate around their property, how these folks try to use some trickery where they'll try to impose on your property and say it was theirs, and like no, You see, I had this post right here, so they had the whole fenced out. So that was genius of them. But this man was basically just trying to claim he was innocent. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. But they got the cameras everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And it just showed him trying to drive up against the gate, trying to mess up the perimeter or the property. The property line. And then the fire around it. The fire issues we had with this country over the last year has been, alarming, especially on the West Coast. Of course, we had our spill of it in the Carolinas as well. So you already see what it is. They're basically trying to intimidate these black folks out of their land. Because, a lot of times they want their land for developers to put property on, or whatever. but you got a right to hold on to your property. And the cool thing about this father and daughter, they own, they outright owned it, no loan or anything. So they just need that protection, and law enforcement doesn't really sound like they respect it out there either. So it's like they're calling law enforcement dragging their feet. So I see the whole purpose of this video was to get our people alert and prepared, and at the same time, you never know who may go out there and volunteer to help out, help protect it. And that's the outcome I'm definitely hoping they get some help protecting it, because that's supposed to be that's the real dream of America, being able to own the land and develop it and produce with it and be independent, self-sufficient. Wouldn't anybody want that? It just seems like nah. They want us to be singing in the kitchen, or we know the story, but definitely not gonna hang too much on that, because this whole race issue is on the verge, man. At the rate they're going, something gonna spark off. But oh well. On to the next story. Now, I know many folks who went to school and universities and taking out loans. Of course, it's like a last resort if you can't afford to go to college. And of course, a lot of folks accumulate that debt with those loans. It's almost like a trap. You got 4 years of loans that you need to pay back. So that means that puts you in a position to where you got to not only find work, but it may not even be in the field that you're studying. You just got to find something so you can pay this debt off, right? And for some folks, that it could be decades, you know what I'm saying? And it may be sitting in forbearance, just almost like in a freeze, or to where, and in the government, in a lot of cases, the government in a financial way, they'll work with you, or they won't be as aggressive, trying to recoup the loan back, because they know people, they, especially during these times, you got to be able to accommodate your basics, and you can't, if you're not making enough money to accommodate your basics, then it's going to be really hard for you to pay on your student loans. So, of course, Trump basically saying, hey, it's time's up. Students going to have to pay on their loans, or they going to garnish your wages. So that's a game changer. Like, oh, snap. So you going to garnish my wages? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's a tough deal. For him to have the stance of talking about it's not fair to the American people or taxpayers or folks who didn't go to school. Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying as far as that. But as far as you standing there, pounding your chest on how irresponsible it is for us not to pay our loans off, or to even say, it's almost like it's a shame to have to carry that debt, and we shouldn't have to carry that debt. Debt is evil, or debt is bad, or So then I'm like, okay, isn't that something? You want to talk about, debt, and not look at the companies you have failed with debt, or you crashed. I mean, like, come on, man. Practice what you preach. You got the phony university, and man, Lord knows how many other different scams he may have wiggled his way out of. But and we ain't going to talk about bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is wiping your slate clean. But before you got that bankruptcy, you owed a lot of folks. You in over your head to the point to where you have to file for bankruptcy. So, like, man, isn't this the bad messenger for something like this? Like, come on, man. Garnishing wages. Well, I tell you what, even more than now, it's better to have a 1099 job, or contract with, or should I say, it's better to have a company, whether it's a corporation or LLC, something where your assets can sit in, or or you take a contract, under that company name, so that the company gets paid. Because therefore, you don't have to take my advice, but I'm just trying to throw it out there. If the money's not in your name and it's in your company name, what would they say? Corporations are people too. So student loans can't come after corporations, can they? Or your LLC. You understand what I'm saying? If everything's in your LLC name, it's gonna tax you. But they'll figure out a way to get you. Whether it's doing income tax time or something to that nature, they'll figure out a way to come get that damn money. So, but yeah, I'm like, man, look at the nerve of this cat who bankrupt many companies and file for bankruptcy. Come on, man. Or try to shame someone for not paying their debts off when you wiggled out of situations. So come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Shannon. What were you thinking, bro? What were you thinking? You're in the middle of this $50 million lawsuit, and from a situation that you could have avoided when you have someone like Monique drop game to you and tell you what you would need it. The queen's gonna know what the king need. You in he in his 50s. The hell you gonna have in common with someone that's 20 years old, other than blowing her back out? So when she hooked up with that lawyer, and that lawyer already, to me, his credibility is shot just at the way he came at Jay. And well, we know Diddy was already out there, but come on, man, you just doctoring up these lawsuits and hoping to stick. In the Shannon case, I don't know why he wanted to go ahead and put those texts out there. That right there just added more fuel to the fire. It would have been better off just to keep a cool head, let everything unfold, in real time, without you trying to discredit her when it's known that you guys had a consensual relationship. So you just let people read in between the lines. Y'all had a consensual relationship. She talking about she want this, what was it? Put the big black baby in her or whatever. I'm like, what kind of description is that? It's clear what she want. She's like, any other OnlyFans / IG model that's out for that thirst, out there thirsting, looking for that bag. Monique gave you some game, man. She said you ain't got nothing. You don't got to leave those young chicks alone. Look at how they sticking their hooks in athletes and just blindside them. Get that baby out of them. Once they get that baby, that's one way to get them. Of course, another way to get them is to somehow get them to marry him. And oh God, that's just recipe for disaster. Because they got the bag already. Now at this point, they gonna show you how they really feel. Shannon said he had to have it. Shannon said he had to have it, boy, and he got it. Shannon got that chick right there, and it's gonna be interesting to see how this play out. We'll see. But you can't try to strong arm somebody, and then there was a rumor that he offered her, was it 10 mil? Basically like take 10 mil. And if that is true, yeah, she a dummy for not taking it. But nah, she want that 50 mil. 50 mil. Good luck with that. In my opinion, I don't see it happening. Yep, leave them alone. Leave those young IG OnlyFans chicks alone. Y'all ain't got nothing in common. You got a lot to lose and she got a lot to gain. So terrible, man. Terrible. This is the whole Kevin Gates and LeBron. Well, I just don't understand why this is even being talked about, or why this is an issue. Why did Gates why did he feel the need to come at LeBron like that? And his wife, basically saying because his wife is not looking at him like he's the Messiah, and he liked the energy the white chicks was giving LeBron because they looking at him like a superstar. Well, let's break this down. You know, and LeBron been with Savannah since he was in high school. Bro, they put in some work. They put in some years, bro. They put in some serious years. To go from high school to, how long he's been in the league. Yeah, they got, you know, Bryce doing this thing, got Bronny doing this thing, they got their daughter that's stretching out and probably gonna do her thing. I mean, why would Savannah have the need, or why would she have the need to have to look at him as look at LeBron as, like he he gave her a breath of life or something? No, man, they've been together for a decade and some change. Probably a little over 2 decades. Man, you think she looking at him like she already know who the king is? So, they're people, first of all. They don't have to have this you gotta worship me type of relationship. Man, look, they raise kids, they've been together that long. You don't just throw no drama, no shade like that, or try to put salt in somebody's marriage or try to crack their foundation, which I don't think it'll work. But just the nerve of that, you know what I'm saying? For somebody to call out your wife, like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you? And then, of course, you're gonna do the ultimate and you're gonna be at the game pose, and like, to me, it just seemed kind of orchestrated. Like, let me see if I can get LeBron to swing on me so I can sue him type deal. And then LeBron's in a situation where he has nothing to gain from it. He definitely don't get nothing. And he's not gonna gain anything from putting hands on Kevin Gates, because a lot of folks would have put hands on him for talking about their spouse like that. This is unfortunate. It really is. It's totally unnecessary. LeBron's screwed either way. Put hands on him, he'll get sued because a spectator has right to sit anywhere, as long as they pay for their seat. So I don't know, man. This seemed like I don't know if it's an envy move. LeBron had nothing to gain from this situation. Nothing. He could have whooped him up, but like I said, that comes with a lawsuit. Makes the league look bad. So it's just not worth it. So now what happens outside of facilities is a whole different story. You can orchestrate a whole lot. Now let me quit playing. But but real talk, Gates is just wrong on this, man. Let that power couple, because it's hard enough to be married, hard enough to be hard, especially when you a superstar like that, and they seem like they still, rock with each other. They still raising beautiful children to become adults. So why, like I said, why try to throw shade and try to break that up? I just don't get it. Makes zero sense. But definitely about to raise up out of here. Definitely appreciate you guys for rocking with me. Definitely continue to follow. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And I'm always here every week, at least once a week, just to catch you guys up. You'll hear from me, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week and weekend. We'll do this again next week. And if you want to support me, man, $ DJ Battle 313 at Cash App. All right, I'm up out of here, man. I'll see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your week.